So, guys, for anyone who's not familiar, Zetnus is a very experienced map scripter. I remember, I think I first came across your maps in one of Llama's tournaments, I believe. And I was looking at them and I was thinking, like, man, who the hell scripted this? I think there was like one random map with where each player had like a little square in a giant ocean of water and it was completely surrounded by resources. There was only one area you could
Oh
dock.
yeah, I did that.
Yeah, and I remember playing that the first round because some guy picked it against me, and I enjoyed it. But I was just thinking to myself, like, what madman, what absolute mad lad scripted this thing? And it was you. You've also done the hyper random packs, and I believe
Yep.
you have some mega random packs, and I believe that you are an admin for our Mess Cup 2. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, basically everything you said is correct.
Oh, see, I'm already starting out on the right foot. I like it. All right, so you had sent me some stuff. You had sent me Notepad link, which I have linked in my chat. AOK Heaven. There was the syntax thing, which I've already imported into Notepad and then there was the guide, which I clicked on and then promptly scrolled through without actually reading anything. Um, so if you guys want to see that, you can type !scripting. It's on a cooldown right now, but it should pop up soon. And that should have everything that you need to get started here. Now, just give us a background. Like, how did you get into scripting?
So the original Conquerors game had like a goodies folder on the disk,
Yeah.
and in there was Ensemble Studios random app scripting guide. And I just happened to stumble on that. And I was like, "Ooh, cool! You can make your own maps."
So they included one like in the cookies folder or the
Yeah,
goodies
they had
folder.
they had like a special folder. I think they had like a sample AI script there too, and sort of like a Word document on how to make an AI script. And
Yeah.
they had that for random map scripting. They had some sort of map with trade carts as an example, and this is how you could make it.
That's so cool, man. Imagine them doing that for a new game nowadays. You know, like Fortnite. Hey, you want to modify our game? Here's how. You can just kind of mess around with it. That's amazing that they even included that. And I wonder if that was actually might have been just like a guide they made for a new guy that came in halfway through. And then they just put it into the game. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that this is possible in Age of Empires. It really gives a lot of longevity to the game.
So when you're starting to script a map, do you take like do you start from scratch or do you take the framework from another script, open it up and then just start to modify?
Both of those things are possible. I think when I originally did it, I used whatever their examples were, like coastal and stuff, and just modified that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also possible to take an entirely blank document and start from there. These days, I just copy stuff from my other scripts because coders are lazy and you don't want to type out a bunch of stuff,
I
of
think
course.
that's what every professional does regardless of their regardless of their industry, right? They just take their old stuff and then add to it. Um all right, so let's get started here. Where would we find I I'll go by your suggestion. So if someone were to just start and start messing around a little bit, how would you recommend that they do that?
Well, what you could do, you could go to the mods and download, some map that you like and try to edit that. You could also go to the game's official maps
Mm-hmm.
and look at how those are done.
So if we go to the game's official map, how do we get there? How do we get the RMS files for that?
Yeah, so you'd have to go to your Steam folder, find out where your game is installed.
Mm-hmm. So it's usually under, I believe it's under like users and then your whatever you're logged on under after that, and then games and then AOE2 DE. That's at least that's where it is for me. If you guys want to find it, it's in the C drive. Um, so once you're there, is there like a folder that says
So
map
you're in
scripts.
a folder called AOE2DE,
Age of
right?
Empires 2 DE. Yeah.
What do you see in there?
I see mods, profile, resources, save game, and save game C.
So that's sort of the folder that like the game stores your save data and so on in.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at the actual games things, we do need to head to the Steam folder.
Okay, so that's the Steam apps folder, right?
Yeah, that would be Steam, Steam apps, common, AOE2DE.
Okay. So that would be under your program files. I can actually.
Yeah, program files, Steam or Steam library, something like that.
So I'm on program files up here, Steam, and then Steam apps, common, Age of Empires 2 DE. And
Yep.
once we're in there, is it under resources or?
It is in fact under resources, yeah.
Yeah.
And then common again. And then you have most of the game's files, basically.
Okay. So where would the Oh, that's a stupid question. That's a really dumb question. Where would the random map scripts be? I wonder if it's under the folder called random map scripts. Okay, so we see all of the
But what you
default ones.
actually see in there, do you see the default ones though?
No, we see those dumb ES maps. Those are
Yeah.
horrible.
So this is the folder where once we're going to be making a map where our file will be.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, you can just make a blank file there now if you want.
A blank file? What do you mean? Like
Well,
just
just-
copy one of these or just like.
You copy something, or you can write, a my first map script.rms. Just a new text file.
Yeah. My new map script .rms. This is gonna be awful. So that's penem or whatever. We can just delete the stuff there or edit it later. All right. So where are like the actual ones that we play?
So for that, we need to go up one level again. And instead of going to map scripts, we go to a folder called DRS.
Okay.
And then inside that, there's a game data folder.
Which one?
The X2.
X2.
Yeah, there's also an X1. The X1 is the Conqueror's data, basically. So we can look at the DE maps, and they are all in there, plus some AI stuff as well.
What is this? Elite Peterson Dip Boomer? Is that in reference to Sandy Peterson?
I believe so.
And what is a dip boomer? The only dip boomer I know are guys, old guys around me that like spit tobacco everywhere.
Probably diplomacy.
Oh, diplomacy boomer. Okay, I know plenty of those.
Yeah.
I know plenty of those.
There's the insult liar.
The liar AI. All right, so all of the ones that have RMS at the end are the maps, and all the ones that have .per2 are the AI scripts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I see Arabia here. I see Archipelago, Arena, Atacama, etc., and I'm assuming that my custom maps that I get on mods also appear here, or
those end up basically in the first folder that we talked about at the beginning.
Okay.
Because I guess the game tries to separate your mods from the actual game files.
Okay. All right. So if we were to start map scripting and we were to start editing one of these, I assume we would just open this in Notepad++?
Yes.
Okay. So which one would you suggest that we open? Is there one that's like more simple than the others?
Well, don't open Arabia. Open like Coastal, I would suggest.
Yeah, no one plays that anyway. That map sucks, dude. Let's make Coastal. Let's make Coastal better.
Coastal is the default map in AoE 2.
I know. I've accidentally opened it way too many times. So we need to
Open with Notepad++. Probably if you right click, you can just.
yeah. It didn't give it to me as a suggested, so I'm trying to let's see if, oh yeah, I guess I could just right click, right? Nope, didn't give it to me as a suggested one. Look for another app, Notepad++. And it's not on here. Oh my god, where is it? Program files 86. There it is. Okay. So, we turn that off and we turn that on now. Oh my god, what are these colors, dude? Did I download the right thing? These colors are horrendous.
It looks like you have the black, the inverted colors.
Light. There we go. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so that was the things that define these colors here, folks, are the syntax highlighting that I linked in the scripting command. So basically, I don't know if it was you, Zetnus. I know there was someone in my chat earlier or the other day talking about how they made a program for it as well. That automatically highlights all the different areas so you can more easily see what you're looking at, what you're trying to edit.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been stuff like this around for a very long time since the game came out. All right, so we see this. It says Coastal for Forgotten Empires 2018 version with extra seasons. So I'm assuming the extra seasons are like whether it's snowy or whether it's African kind of terrain. We can see like Mediterranean South, African E, Tropical East, etc., etc. So
exactly.
There's a 10% chance that it's going to be Medi South and a 5% chance it's going to be autumn. Is that what those, I'm guessing that's what that means? Okay.
And what's basically happening here is it's loading a separate file, the one that's called fSeasons Inc., that then defines all the things associated with a specific season.
Oh, so this is referencing that file right there. Okay. And then that file has all these different names on it. So if you wanted to, like, let's say you didn't have any seasons whatsoever, this was a blank slate, and you wanted to define the percentages without looking at these, you would open that file, which I presume is still in this game data thing.
Yeah, it's also there.
And then you would find out the names and then just copy and paste them in here.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So that's
the reason they do this is just because, you know, they have 50 maps and they want to use the same seasons for all of them.
So it's kind of like if you have like an HTML file, you'll reference the CSS file for the theming of it, right? It's kind of like the same kind of okay. And if anyone hasn't done HTML or CSS before, it's I'm sorry. We're gonna need more time, I suppose. All right, so player setup, random placement. What does that refer to, like the placement of the teams or just the player in general?
Basically, the other options instead of random placement, there's something called grouped by team, which you have on maps like Lombardia or Acropolis.
Okay.
So you're basically grouped closer together to your teammates than to your enemies.
And every single one of these little areas has their accompanying file, right? So it would be the BR setup.inc.
That's BR stands for Battle Royale, so we'll just ignore that.
Okay, never mind. Go on.
Because we don't need to set up Battle Royale. But yeah.
All right, so we leave that in the trash can where it is currently. Land generation, that's just random placement. We probably want that for all, right? Unless you're making a team game map. If you're making a 1v1 map, you probably just want random placement in general.
You'll generally use random placement, yeah.
Okay. So land generation, explain what we're looking at here.
So it says Voda. Now that's the check word for water. You could just type water there instead. But
Water.
basically, what this is this is sort of where like the main terrain for the map is done.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we best gonna do this?
So if I wanted to change coastal completely, and I wanted to change it to something else, could I type like rock or like desert?
You could. However, we'd probably need to copy coastal into our other map script because at some point they change it so you can't modify
The default
the
maps?
official game maps. Yeah.
So if I just rename this and save it as something else, it would be fine.
Yeah.
Like if I save as like coastal not coastal, it would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if that works. We could go to the
I
scenario
lost
editor.
my formatting, my friend.
Ah.
How?
Well, you can
Oh, there it is. Okay.
reapply it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's under language, guys, if you want to reapply the syntax once you've imported them. If you look at that link there on the Age of Kings Heaven website or whatever, there's instructions on how to import them. So I have dark and light on my languages. Okay. So if we change the base terrain to desert, that means that like the background layer, let's say this is a painting, the background layer on coastal is the water. And then you put the land on top of the water.
Well, we should go to the scenario editor and take a look. Then we can see.
Okay. Cool. Go to the scenario editor, editors, and do we just create one?
Just create a blank scenario. Yeah.
Okay. And then we go to coastal. I don't have it on here. Do I need to restart my game?
On all the way on the left where it says random map.
Yep.
And then you can pick a map.
Okay. I do not have my random map script here. Where would it be?
And keep scrolling down. It might not be fully alphabetical. Do we see it? My new map script.
Yeah, that's not the one I saved it as, though. I saved it as coastal, not coastal.
All right. In that case, we might need to move it out of the game data folder and into the random map scripts folder.
Okay. So out of the game data folder, here we are. Coastal, not coastal, right here. And this just says file. Did I not say, do I have to manually put .rms after it?
I think Windows is hiding the .rms for you.
Okay.
It was visible before. Although it does just say file.
Yeah, that's why I'm okay. So I'm just gonna save it as .rms. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll see if that works. There it is. There we go. And I'm assuming we need to quit this and then just restart it so we get the option. I don't know if it automatically shows up there.
You do need to.
All right, cool.
Restart the scenario editor.
All right. Nope. Wrong button. Create scenario. There we go. And random map, like you said. Coastal. Oh, it's not here. Come on now. Come on, you can do it. No! Where is it?
Is it not there?
No.
All right. Let's go to the folder where we've saved this thing, and we'll move it.
Folder where we saved this thing. Okay.
Because it's still in the game data folder. And I think the game probably doesn't like that.
Okay, game data folder. Here we go. We copy it, and where do we put it?
Then you go back to the resources common where we had a random app scripts folder.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Coastal, not coastal. Okay. So we're getting this set up, folks, so we can start editing and doing all our other cool things here. But we need to get it set up in the first place, and it's better to go through these type of mistakes because this feels like something that would happen very commonly to people trying to get started, and then we get very frustrated.
Yeah.
All right, so it's in that folder. Should it show up in the editor now?
It should show up in the editor
Okay.
now.
Okay. Coastal, not coastal. There it is. All right, so
Nice.
then we hit generate map. And look at, guys, look at this coastal version. Hell yeah, it's already better, bro. It's already better. Look at this. Coastal, not coastal. My submission for random map script cup. All right, give me a
There we
second.
go.
Look at the mini map. Look at the mini map, folks. We got ourselves a dune variant of the map. So I guess the base terrain, like we were saying before, and that's what was coded in, right, was the water. And that's like the background layer. Like if you're making a painting, that's my analogy, my terrible analogy.
Yeah, it is. It's what your canvas basically is to start with.
So like the background layer on Nomad would be water as well. And then you just add in, okay. So that's good to know. So it leads off with the background layer, and then we start. It's funny, changing one word, we've already completely changed the map. It is nothing alike anymore. That's so funny. So let's add this back on there. So what other types of changes come after this? This is hideous. I gotta change that to light mode. There we go. All right, so take us through what happens after this desert change, which we've made.
Well, luckily everything's pretty. Well, everything does basically what it says. It says create player lands, so it's sort of creating an area for the players.
Okay. So.
And then
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we can just look at the first thing. It says a terrain type, and it says layer A, which is something that varies based on the season.
Mm-hmm.
But we could put our own terrain there.
And is there the layer A, like if we wanted to type in different versions, is it trial and error, or is there like a file that references what layer A is and what layer B is and layer C and etc.?
There is. That's all in the seasons file. Basically, like on Mediterranean, it might be grass, but if it's some sort of winter season, it might be snow.
Okay, so that seasons file is the f_seasons.inc that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
So we could open that up in Notepad++ if we
could.
wanted to as well. I mean,
but we can also just hard code whatever terrain we want.
Mm-hmm. But like I'm thinking of, okay, so I could theoretically type desert here as well.
You could.
Deep water. Ooh. So it's got a bunch of fillings in here? I guess that is just auto-filled by whatever else is in the
in this file.
Yeah, you guys can't see it on stream, but Notepad++ does give you an autofill option when you start typing in, and that's just other variables that are already in the file. Okay. So after we see that terrain type, we have start random. And is this the total amount of land on the map? Is that what this percentage references?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So is this like a column here where we have desert on the right side and then all these values are the percentage of desert?
The formatting actually doesn't matter. That's just the way they have the script set up, but you could delete all the spaces. It doesn't matter that it's way over there.
So the percentage chance is 33% of having 52% landmass and 48% water. Is that what I'm reading here?
Yes.
Okay. So that makes sense. And this is how you get all those different variables, I suppose. Like, let's say you want a nomad generation where sometimes you have 75% of the map is land and sometimes it's 50% of the map. And I guess you could set up like infinite amounts of variables as long as the percentage is low enough.
Basically.
Okay, cool.
And you can put these percentages for all kinds of things. You could vary, you could say, 33% chance desert, 33% chance water.
Ooh. So we could do like 14% chance that it's 98% chance desert with desert surrounding. But then we'd have to fill in the what happens if you don't add up to 100?
Then none of these cases get chosen.
Oh, so you always have to add up to 100 here?
Not necessarily. It will just use whatever the default is, which I believe in this case would be 100%.
Okay.
So that it would just fill all of the land with desert.
It would all fill all of the land with desert. So if this is 33, 33, 33, then there's theoretically a 1% chance that the map can just
Possibly.
be filled with desert.
Possibly. Has anyone ever run into a coastal map that's completely water?
That doesn't seem right. Why did they only add up to 99%? Wait a second. Who coded I knew this map was terrible, but
the official map scripts are not perfect by any means.
What idiot came up with this? Let's just if I'm gonna submit this map, we need to whoa. What happened there? Okay, we'll keep this simple. 65%, and then we'll do the just to illustrate, we'll do the percent chance 1, and land percentage is going to be 12% chance. That works, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. If I submit this, there's going to be a 1% chance that you get 12% land. It's going to be perfect. Move 65 down a line? No, I think we're good. It's all oh yeah. Does actually probably does matter, doesn't it? That 65 wasn't on the red line.
Well, it needs to be after
the land
percent. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it is. All right, so these markers I assume are the start and stop for this particular code, so you actually need those in there, right?
You need that to do the percent chance.
And that's why as a beginning map script, you would probably want to just go off a script that already existed. Because it already has that like framework in there, right?
Yeah. Well, it's easy to do what we're doing right now. Basically take this and say, what happens if we put in desert? What happens if we change this number to 100?
Probably what a beginning map scripter should be doing as well. If they like just show up with a Notepad thing, I don't think they're gonna get many places anytime soon. But you never know. Percent chance, left border, top border, bottom border. What is this?
What do you think it is?
Is this like if it's landlocked on one of the sides, or
basically, yeah. Okay. If there's a border there, then you have to imagine we started with this canvas, right? And then we're putting stuff on it. And if there's a border, then it's not allowed to go all the way to the left or all the way to the top. So what it's doing here is it does one side is connected to the edge of the map and the other 3 sides aren't.
Okay. So left border, top border, bottom border. This is left, top, bottom is. Would you add all those values up there for the 668 are percentages, or are those values?
Those are percentages.
Okay. Okay, my head is.
What we can always do, of course.
It seems low, it seems low. That's why I'm just kind of trying to.
We can always generate the map. We can always change things and see what effect it has in the scenario editor. We just need to save changes in our file.
That's what I did.
And then you hit generate.
Okay, so what I changed there was the percentage chance. We had a 1% chance to get all desert. And then I changed some of the other values earlier into desert, right? The terrain type, create player lands into desert.
You did, but interestingly, our lands don't seem to be a desert.
No, they don't. They do not. And why would that be?
Good question. Did you actually save changes on your file?
I did. I did. Now we gotta rip through until we get that 1% chance, dude. I did save changes there. It's very interesting.
Well, we can practice some debugging. This is always a useful thing too.
Okay.
So you might have noticed at the very top that we had some things that were, a description of what the map script is. This is by Forgotten Emperors and so on. And that was in a comment.
Okay.
So if we just put like an open, the comments are a slash and a star, right? An asterisk, right?
Okay. So we would do
So
that
you can
before.
if you just put a comment at past what we've done and just comment out everything. If you put it at the very top, you could save changes and then you'll see what happens then. Or you can put it somewhere else and save changes and see what happens.
So like, let's say you're making changes here and you want to say like slash star. Oh, that kind of screws with everything there. Oh, that screws with everything too. How do we? Oh, we have to do star slash.
We have to do on both ends.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. So slash star, and we say changed water to desert, and then we do star and another slash. Would that show up like in the? Where does that show up? Or is that just a note for ourselves?
That's just a note. That's a note for ourselves here.
Okay.
If we're reading it, that's why it also turns gray here in the syntax highlighting.
Mm-hmm. So that's just like to let ourselves know what changes we've made.
Yeah, but what we can do too is if we decide that we don't want to, if we want to just look at this part of the script and ignore everything that we haven't looked at yet, we could just leave out the ending slash and then generate that, and then we'd only have our what we've done so far.
So this is like a pro tip for someone that gets lost in an RMS script, basically, and does them all the time. Like yeah. And this just lets your idiot mind know that you're working on something right now, right? I get it. That'd be very useful for me because I could see myself getting lost 100% of the time. All right. So is it possible that we don't have the desert terrain because some other layer is on top of it? Or do you think it's a fundamental thing that we've missed?
I'm not 100% sure. I would generate it again and let's take another look. If we still don't have a desert.
Okay. It worked.
Oh, well,
maybe, or is this a different?
Nah,
is this a different
I think it's just the African. It's just the African environment.
Okay. So this is just simply a different environment, and our coastal variant is still struggling.
Now go to your comment and just delete the part where that ends the comment, so that it just basically so that the whole rest of the script is a comment, and then generate it.
And then I save and generate. And we've got a big circle. So I'm assuming that it's something like
there's some interesting stuff going on here.
I'm assuming I need to like restart the game or something so that the file updates or
nah, the file updates are actually they should really be applying here.
Right.
What if you just like delete everything in your script? We can always, undo in Notepad.
So like Control All, just delete.
Sure. Yeah. It's a good sanity check.
Bye.
We do have the desert.
Bye. Okay. No. It's an empty space now.
Success.
All right. Nope. It's reading the phantom code. It's reading the phantom code.
So I think what's happening is because we have 2 copies of this file sitting around, there's still one. You copied it out of the game files,
Oh,
game
there's a
data
different one
folder,
that's not the RMS.
but it's still in there.
Right.
We should probably delete that copy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're also gonna get rid of this, and we're gonna go back to Coastal because we just deleted everything and saved it. So
yeah, you can undo those changes.
Well, too late now. I already closed
or
it.
copy them over, whatever.
Yeah, we already changed one thing, so we only changed one thing. So if I go generate map now, whatever. All right, so let's save this as a different file name, Coastal V5, something like that. .rms, and we'll save that under there. So we probably always want to be in this scenario editor regenerating after we make changes, just to make sure we haven't screwed anything up, right? Yeah.
Basically.
Okay. Oh, not scenario folder. Create
There's
scenario. Perfect.
Fun story there too, just while we're doing this. So before DE came out and before user patch, you couldn't do this in the scenario editor.
Really?
You had to go to single player and start your map.
Really?
So this is much easier now.
That's super painful. My God! And for some reason, this didn't show up once again.
Coastal version 5. Did you save it with .rms?
I did. It already exists. Right.
Which folder is it in?
Oh, it might not be in the right one. That's right. We went through this before.
Yeah.
That's right. It's in my default RMS scripts thing. It's not in the custom RMS scripts. Ah. Okay, that makes sense.
And make sure there isn't Coastal V5 in the other folder anymore. Otherwise, we're gonna have the same issue again.
Coastal V5, perfect. It's good to figure this stuff out now. Before, like, if everything just went smooth at the moment or at the first try, and then the next time I go in here to try and do something, it all screws up and I can't access it and nothing is listening to the map files that I've saved, it might be a problem. All right, so we save that under the random map scripts once again in that folder. And there we go. Editors, great scenario, Coastal V5. There we go. And this is back to the normal Coastal again. I'm actually going to do this.
Yeah, it's actually a good idea.
Yeah, so you guys can see the mini map. It's dumb of me to put that window like that in the first place. All right, so we're back to this because we opened up a new Coastal version because we were trying to troubleshoot that. We have these values, like we said, for the different environments. The terrain type we changed to desert before. I actually kind of like the desert on Coastal. I think it's nice. Now, does it matter if it's all caps or not? Probably not, right? As long as it has the same values.
It does.
Fuck.
You'll notice that. Well, that's why we've got the syntax highlighting. It doesn't highlight if you type it like that.
So if it doesn't apply, it doesn't highlight as a color. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. I hope everyone's learning from my mistakes. I think that's like the best way to learn is watch someone else screw it up so you know what not to do. All right. So we've gone through this. This is how you designate which side something will generate on. So it has a 1 in 4 chance of going left border, top border, bottom border, left border, top border, right border, left border, bottom border. So these are just the different angles that it can
It is
connect
just
to.
all 4 combinations.
Okay. Okay.
If you want, you could set the first of those things to 100% chance and then mess around with it to see what it does.
Yeah, if you always want. So if I set this to 100 and the others are at 25, does this supersede the other three?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't even need to touch those afterwards.
It just
this
takes
will
the
be
first
only-
100% and then stops looking for stuff.
That's useful if you don't want to delete stuff and you just want to keep it on there. Okay. So this would be... Why is it only 6, 8, and 6 in terms
Well,
of percentages?
Put in 60 and see what happens.
Okay. We've got it. All right, so we got ourselves a little chunker up there against the we're done. Yep. So I guess the left border then would be 60% of the way away from that.
Yeah, it's saying 60% of the way.
So it's
60% away.
It's like padding basically.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving it that much room from the edge of the map, and you're putting that default terrain that we specified earlier in between it. Okay. That makes sense. This is an interesting map for sure. Okay. So that's okay. It explains a lot. Thank you for having me go through that. So we're going to keep that at the 6 or whatever, because I do not, this map is hideous. And also, I don't think it's very competitive because there's no wood whatsoever, but maybe we'll try it at a later date. Okay, so we know what that means. If Battle Royale, we can basically just ignore all of that.
Just ignore
garbage.
that, yeah.
And then we move down to something called terrain generation. And F color correction.
Yeah, so once again, because these are the official maps, they're including other files here.
Okay.
You can there's some color correction that if you have it enabled in the graphics settings, it might apply.
Yep.
And then they have some things to make the water look nice by mixing deeper and shallower water in a specific way.
Oh, okay.
We can just ignore that for now.
Okay. So I'm assuming if anyone ever wants to reference and see if they can change stuff, they just open these files.
Yeah.
And take a read through. So F color correction ink, F water masking ink, and then we're down to primary forest, and it's called woodies. Oh God.
Yeah. So what you should probably do, let's change where it says layer A, change that to desert.
Yeah.
Since we're not using layer A.
He's on to me. He knows what I like. Desert. There we go.
And then you can generate your map after saving. And we should have forests again.
Okay. Got forests again. We've got lovely forests, and we've got a lot of desert, and we have the water once more, and a reasonable distance from the left side of the map. As we saw, we got that 100% chance to go for the first variant, so we will never be connected, right? To the left,
Yeah.
we'll always be connected up on this edge. Okay.
And if you wanted a different type of forest, right now it's doing basically one depending on the season. So this looks sort of like a jungle season or something.
Yeah.
But we could pick out a specific forest to put there instead.
So we have this jungle forest based on the season, and then we have this terrain based on the fact that I typed in desert.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it looks completely off that this jungle is growing in the desert. Okay. It's got a kind of cool vibe to it. I'm not going to lie. All right. So spacing to other terrain types. This means...
It means exactly what it says. If you looked at the map, you'd notice that the forests are staying, they're not touching the water, for example.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And the water's basically the only other terrain type currently in here, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why they're none of them are to the edge. That's probably pretty useful because no one likes wood lines right up against the water. That's kind of a little bit ugly. Land percent, 9% is given over to trees and forests. I guess it looks like more than that. Is that 9% of the map or 9% of this land chunk
9% of
area
the
here?
map.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking it looks like a little bit more than that. But I guess if you add all the trees together, probably would fill up one of the corners here. Number of clumps. So if we kept that at 9% and we increase the number of clumps to like 100,
Wow, let's do that. Take
then
a look.
we have now it looks like it has some sort of weird disease. I see. Fantastic. That's awesome. That's so simple, right? If we do like land percent 90 and then number of clumps 100, then we get some weird hideout garbage map. This is the forest nothing. Coastal nothing.
Forest nothing is very easy to make.
Oh, I assume it's like the easiest thing ever. Coastal nothing, dude. This is so stupid. Imagine generating here, you get all the fish, and then you generate here, and you're just out of luck. I'm sorry, bud. Maybe you could fit a dock in there. Okay, so that's fun, man. I imagine you can have a lot of fun just randomly typing in numbers.
Yeah. And like if you're making an actual competitive map, you spend a lot of time trying to balance wood lines. That's a lot of the struggle.
Yeah. So the land percentage with 9%, it seemed okay. Let's go for a little bit less than that though. Let's go for 6%, and we had 10 wood clumps to start off. So we're gonna go for maybe 13. Lucky number 13. Actually, we'll go for more than 6%. We'll go for 8%. There we go. And then, of course, we just hit Control S on Notepad. That'll save automatically, and we can look around. And we've got lots of wood clumps here, but they're not taking up too much space. And we still have this desert terrain, and I guess the seasonal terrain changed to the snow, or the taiga, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go down from that. Set avoid player start areas. Set scale by groups, and there's no value here.
Yeah. So avoiding the player start areas is doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
You could put a value there to say exactly how far away it should stay away from the players.
Oh, so this is talking about the just the wood terrain. So
Exactly.
if you want this to be, and is this a percentage value as well?
This is a number of tiles.
Oh, number of tiles value. Okay.
And the default is about 13.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted something different, you could type 20 and the wood lines would be real far away.
Set scale by groups. What is set scale by groups?
Well, someone in chat noticed, for example, that there aren't exactly 13 clumps, despite the fact that we said number of clumps 13.
Yeah.
And that is because there are some built-in scaling things. So what this does, it scales how many groups there are to the map size.
Ah, okay.
It's multiplying 13 by whatever the scaling factor for the small map is.
So this map is 3. If we go to tiny and we generate, are we going to get 13? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope.
Nope, because the tiny map is even bigger than the reference for scaling.
What the fuck? Ancient Empires, come on, man. Gotta love this game, dude. Gotta love this game. What are they referencing then?
Maybe Age of Empires 1 had maps that were 100 by 100 tiles. They are referencing 100 by 100.
100 by 100. And what is the tiny map script?
Tiny is 120 by 120.
Get your shit together, Age of Empires. All right, so I set this value to 1 on set avoid player start areas.
Yeah.
And theoretically, that means that like these wood clumps should be closer to the TCs, right?
Well, they could randomly spawn like right next to the
they
TC.
could. Okay, they could. All right. No, we're not getting it right now. But I assume on forest nothing it would be like a 0.
Yeah, exactly.
value.
If you want to get it, you just do forest nothing, and there you go.
Okay. All right. So I changed that back. That seems pretty self-explanatory. The woodies is just all of that wood terrain, and then all of these values dictate where that wood will spawn. Going on to the next one, and this says primary patch. What does that mean?
So here, basically, there's some mixing of different terrains. What we did before is we put some wood terrain and we said it needs to be on a base terrain on a desert. And then you could put other terrains on other terrains. You could say, all right, we want some grass on our desert, or we want some mangrove shallows on our desert, or whatever. And these layer things are basically, it's basically just to make the map look nice. It might be some dirt or some leaf terrain or something.
So if we want to do like, is road a thing?
Road is a thing.
Okay, so like number of clumps, and we do like 16 clumps of road, land percent, 20% road.
You do need to do it a bit differently though, because we want to create the terrain road and we want to put it on the base terrain of.
So we would have to type it up here?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we go and generate the map once again, and it doesn't appear.
And we won't have any road yet because we need to put it on an existing terrain.
Ah, okay. So create terrain road, and then the base terrain, would I switch that to something else? Is that the terrain I'm putting it on top of? Ah, so we would switch that to desert. Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so glad I have you here, dude. All right, so yeah, then we get random clumps of road. Absolutely random clumps of road.
Perfect.
Perfect. Road nothing. Love to see it. I saw the road. Yep. Take it to the road. And we want to get rid of that because road terrain is absolutely horrifically ugly. So we go back to layer B, which is just whatever the default is, right?
It's whatever's associated with that season.
Okay.
Or if we don't want anything, we could just delete all this stuff. But
okay. All right. So base terrain is desert. We don't really want any. Maybe we could do desert. Just adds a few things and oh crap. Not go for road. Maybe we go for like grass terrain. And that'll make it a little bit nicer. And then we'd like down the clumps to 7. Just because it was a little bit over, it was a little bit overbearing.
Yeah.
10% maybe. Cool. Okay, so create terrain DLC rock. So I'm assuming that this is just all cosmetic stuff here.
Yeah, basically there are a couple more of these. There are a lot of more advanced tricks that you can do as well, where you create one terrain and then completely replace it with another one and so on. We don't need to go into any of that, but a lot of that has to be used to actually do things like making sure that you have the proper amount of wood lines and not just by chance possibly some wood lines near your base.
Okay. So the base terrain, so this DLC rock corresponds to, I didn't see any rocks on this. Does it correspond to the cliffs? Or a cliff is a different value, right?
I think this DLC rock probably gets replaced at some point.
Okay.
The cliffs are different. We'll get to those.
So this doesn't matter at the moment.
We can just ignore that. We don't have any layer B, I believe, so none of this is actually being created currently.
Okay. So if I were to type desert there, then maybe it would be.
Then you probably would end up with 100% of DLC rock. Yes.
Okay, let's see. DLC rock. Show me DLC rock. What the fuck? What do we get? Coastal land madness? What the hell? This is a weird kind of looking thing. So I guess we had those desert lines around here. What's going on with these desert lines?
Yeah, so there's some more weird stuff happening, possibly because we don't have everything defined everywhere.
Okay. Okay.
It does look like Land Madness, though.
It does. It looks kind of cool, doesn't it? It's kind of interesting. All right. So we'll move on from there anyway. Yeah, I like the look of that. I like the look of that for sure. Create terrain, layer A, layer B. So this is just another cosmetic thing. All of these are just cosmetic things. And then we move down and we have our secondary forest. So this is a different type of forest, I presume.
You know, let's delete the cosmetic things that we didn't touch.
Okay.
That might be a good idea.
Okay. So we get
just
rid
so we don't have
of
too much interference from random
all
stuff.
of this stuff. Okay, cool. Save that. Dude, I'm having fun already. I like this. I like this. I feel like I should have discovered this as a kid. I could have had 20 years of map scripting under my belt. All right. Woodies B. Now I didn't notice any other wood lines. I saw we had bamboo and forest in the last generation we had, but I didn't see that before. So I'm wondering if that is just due to the different seasonal generation that we had, maybe?
That is because this Woodies says that it's being put on a layer B, which we probably didn't have before.
Hmm.
You could put desert there as well instead of layer B.
Yep. Desert, of course, is our default terrain. And Woodies B is not straggler trees, right? That's just a second variant of wood?
Yeah, it's a second type of wood line.
Okay, so it takes up
only a few of
1% of the map. There's only 3 clumps of them. And we can basically figure out exactly what that is because we've been through this before. Layer C. So this is secondary patch here. Create terrain, layer C, and it goes over at layer A. Is this another cosmetic thing, or is this?
Yeah, let's just delete that. That's putting on more different terrain patches.
Okay.
If we wanted those, we could just make our own by copying something that we already have.
Okay. Create terrain, layer E.
We'll get rid of those as well.
I wish they wouldn't say they wouldn't go off the reference files and it would say layer E and layer C. I wish it would just say the name, you know?
If we'd picked a different map script, we might have had the ones in there.
Oh, okay.
Like before DE, when they didn't reference other things quite as much, it would have said, if desert, this terrain is something.
Yeah. So how many layers can you make? If you want to create terrain layers, is there a hard limit?
I think 999,999.
Okay, so we'd really be straining ourselves to set that up.
You'd run into other difficulties at that point.
All right, I get it. Okay.
But
Zetnus is on his hyper random generation, I'm maxed out.
Before DE, that limit was 99. So you could actually run into it.
So it went from 99 to 999,999.
Yeah, basically a million. Yeah,
that's quite the increase there. That's quite, dude. They really went in. Holy. All right. So create terrain, layer F over layer A. Do we delete this as well, or
delete that as well? Yeah.
All right. Cool. We're just deleting the whole file. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Okay. Objects generation.
Yeah. So I'm going to just explain a little bit. Basically, DE has a horribly complicated file that defines the objects for all the maps.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sort of guess what's being defined here. Normal TC, starting builds, classic scout, give relics. They have names here that make sense, but basically it's all referencing a different file.
Okay.
What we're going to do is scroll down a bit,
mm-hmm.
and probably we'll just delete all this and do our own thing.
Ooh, delete all of this. And that's from the generating objects Inc. file. Okay. So we delete all of this. So the players aren't starting with anything.
Yeah. At this point, the map should just have the forests.
save, and we generate to make sure. And ooh, kind of hideous. It's kind of hideous. All right.
Well, we still have our rock and stuff sitting around.
Yep. Yep. Still got that rock. All right. So we deleted all that stuff. So that means there's no TCs, there's no starting scouts, there's nothing like that. And are we going to replace it with something? We going to type it ourselves? Oh, it's time to become a hacker. Okay.
Should we do a bit of typing?
Yeah.
Let's do a bit of typing.
So I'm assuming you have to start with define, right?
So I think what you want to type here, what are we going to have you type? Why don't you type create object with an underscore between the two words?
After define?
No, just get rid of the define. We're not going to define anything.
Create object? Yep.
And then write town center in caps with an underscore as well.
We're writing town center the American way with an ER at the end?
Yes, the American way.
Okay. And that would be, do we need to specify for multiple players, or does town center apply to the amount of players that are set?
Yeah, so we're going to do a little bit more. We need a space, and then we need some curly brackets that open up.
I'm sure there's a name for that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Is it this one?
It's probably the one that you're about to type on screen. Yeah.
Is that the curly bracket that opens up? I'm sure there's a name for it.
that looks like a curly bracket that opens up.
Dude, I totally understood you when you said that. Okay.
This is the first experience I had with any sort of programming or coding or anything was Age of Empires RMS.
Well, actually, the first experience I had with HTML and CSS was making custom themes for Voobly. So I kind of like figured it out on my own. That's why I have Notepad++ already, because I was doing all that on there. So it's kind of like, it's funny that it's the same type of deal. All right, so what do we type in here?
So we want to type set place for every player. And once again, this will all have underscores. Yeah.
For every player or every player?
Set place for every player. And we don't want to capitalize any of it.
You could have told me that before I started typing in Pro. Okay.
So the things that are all capitalized are usually or conventionally like things that are defined.
Yeah.
In this case, they're defined in a different. Well, basically, they're defined in a different file, or stuff like town center is defined by the game in a different file as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all the like commands and attributes, or most of this stuff is lowercase.
I'm actually I might want to like share my.
You can just put a tab, or you yes.
Oh no, I can't share multiple windows. Whatever. We'll figure it out from the stream. All right, so set place for every player. So now every player that you have included in your game that you're about to launch will have a town center.
Yes, once we finish
for them automatically. And if we wanted to do like a nomad generation, we would just do create object villagers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what do we do after this? You said once we finish this. So I'm assuming right now they would, if I were to generate this map, they would not yet. There's no town centers here. So there's a caveat here somewhere. What do we need to do?
So the first issue is that basically every thing in a map script needs to be separated by a space. And that includes the curly bracket and the set place for every player. And then we also need to make a curly closing bracket afterwards to close the whole thing again. Yeah. You can also just do new lines on all of it so everyone can see.
Do we need a curly opening bracket for that, though?
Nope.
Okay.
You could write the entire map script on a single line, and the game's parser would still use that.
Oh, perfect.
Or you can put in a bunch of enters and format it however you want.
Imagine writing it all in a single line. You're like, day 15. Just still going. All right, so that's closed off, and if I save that and I generate the map, there is a TC. You guys can see it right there. There's a TC for red and there's a TC for blue, but there's no villagers. So it's closed off. It's green, which means it's active, I assume. Oh crap, they can't see the full screen. There we go. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Just put in just like enter.
Okay.
Somewhere, or do that. That works too. We don't need 2 closing brackets, only one set. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had already put that. That's
no
why I
worries.
was wondering with the second
Yeah,
one.
okay. I couldn't see it either.
Yeah, you couldn't see it. That makes sense. All right, cool.
So basically, we're creating a town center, and then we're modifying, the in the attributes of that create object command. And we could add more things to it. We could add something like, if you type number of objects and then a space and 3, then you would have 3 town centers.
Would I put that on the same line, or where would I put that?
Just so that we can see it, I would put it on the next line. The brackets it all needs to be within the brackets, but
within the brackets of the first one.
Yeah. Just like put a bracket after everything that we've done.
Number of objects. Okay. And then I put town center again.
Nope. You put a number.
Oh, because it's within the brackets. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we want to like a 5 TC start.
You put in 5.
And then we generate the map. And you can see past my little notepad window. It is getting very crowded up here. We could have TC nothing as well. Maybe we could go for 500 potentially.
We could.
But all this goddamn rock, dude. It's taking
the problem
up
is
too much space.
you can't build on rock, so you can't put the town center on the rock either.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's good to know. All right. So we're gonna stick with 1 for now.
Yeah.
Set place for every player, and then we go down, and that's all closed off there. That is all closed off there. So now, generally, what's the next order of business? Is it adding villagers?
Well, let's put one more thing for the town center. We'd put something called max distance to players.
Okay.
And you set that to 0.
Inside the bracket?
Inside the bracket. Okay. Yeah. Inside the bracket.
So max distance to player? Players. Okay. And then is this a percentage value or a tile value?
Tiles. And we do 0. So that puts it in the middle of where the players are, basically.
Ah, okay. So that's not referencing them. That distance is not referencing the distance between them and the other player, right?
No, that's the distance to your own stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to set that max distance to player at 100, theoretically, when you first load into the game, your view would be way far away from your actual TC.
Well, your view might still be centered around your TC, but the TCs might not be where all your other stuff is.
Okay.
I think what we could do at this point, to look at some of the other objects like villagers, so just so we don't have to do as much typing, we could copy some of it from another script. And I think what we're going to do here, you still have the game data folder somewhere, right?
Yeah.
If you go there in the game data folder, there's something called land and water resources.
Okay. Game data is resources.
DRS. Yeah.
Oh,
DRS game data.
DRS game data number 2 is what you said, and land and water resources, right? There it is. All right, now.
And then you can open that with Notepad.
Here's another app. Notepad++. And there we go. This is one of the many reasons Notepad++ is better than Notepad, folks, because you can have multiple tabs open at the exact same time. Switch there, and we can see all of this. So what is this file that we're looking at?
So it's from June '99, and it's exactly the same as the land resources. Go figure.
Okay.
No, it's it's basically the AOC standard resources.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you
And
copy this a lot, or like if you're making one from scratch? You probably copy your old maps, but yeah, you probably do.
I copy my own maps, but it's basically you're always using standard resources or most of the time.
So if regicide, that's an if function. So we're gonna go and copy this stuff, right? Probably anything after villager, or
we could copy whatever we want, but just start with some of it. Yeah.
Okay. And then we're gonna toss it in right here, and we're gonna get rid of this one that we made that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
we loved it. And we see all the values already preset for us. So this is like scripting done easy because someone else has already done the job.
Exactly.
Group placement radius. Placement radius. What does that mean?
That doesn't matter in this specific case. It's sort of if you have like a pile like gold or berries, it tells you how far away the individual ones can be from the group, or deer or something.
Yeah.
But for a TC, it doesn't matter. That's just Ensemble Studios putting in code that might have done something.
I mean, it was 1999, right?
Exactly.
I think we can forgive them. It's been 23 years. I think we can forgive them. All right. Create object villager. Min distance to players 6, max distance to players 6. So that's how far they spawn from the central tile of the TC.
Yeah, because we put the TC direct. What we've done. Well, okay, a bit of theory. So we did something earlier called create player lands, which sort of creates land masses for the players.
Yep.
And for each player, there's a central point, an origin point, let's say. And we're placing the TC directly on that point. And then we're saying the villagers should be exactly 6 tiles away from that.
Okay. Dude, I love how like simplistic this is. Even if there are some obvious things, I love how they've set this up.
Like a lot of it, if you look at it, it's you read it and you say, it does say set place for every player. It probably places it for every player.
Exactly. All right. Create object scout. Number of objects, obviously 1. Max distance to players. Min and max distance. So we have a 2 tile variance that the scout can appear around your TC. Okay. That makes sense. And then create object relic. Obviously, we can pump this up if we want, like, 3,000 relics on the map. I don't even think, like...
Actually, do that. Do 3,000. Let's take a look at that.
All right. It didn't work.
What we're going to see is we're not going to see 3,000 relics.
Is it because there's a minimum distance between?
Exactly.
Distance to players. Yeah. So if we put 0, and then
we're still not going to see, but do it.
This guy. And then if we put temporary min distance group placement.
So what that's doing is it's saying how far away does each relic need to be from the other relics.
There we go. Dude, this mini map here. Damn, dude. It's like Scarface's dream, bro. This is a lot of relics. This is relic nothing right here. Okay, so that's the percentage distance in between the relics. So no matter what value you put here, as long as this value is here, it will supersede it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to revert that. And we're going to put that on 5 once more, which is a standard value. And now we've got our nice little standard map generation here. We can see red's TC up there. We can see blue's TC up here. Now the rocks are still... Can I just get...
You could get rid of the rock,
I'm
or you
getting
could
rid of, dude. I'm getting rid of these rocks. I hate
just
these
make
stupid
something
rocks.
instead of rock. Just
Yeah. What? Oh, what would it be? Grass. Is there like different? There's like a grass 3, grass 5, right?
there is a grass 3
Do you
in
need like the
caps.
underscore, or is it just grass?
I think it's without the underscore, if I remember correctly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We generate the map, and it's back. We're back. Perfect. Okay. So we got rid of the rocks. That's fantastic. Map looks kind of cool, unintentionally, with these little desert things running through it. Looks kind of dope. All right. And we have figured out all this stuff that we copied from the land and water resources file that was in our second tab here. We've kept it pretty much standard, and now we're down to elevation generation. I can see we're almost at the end of this. Bruh, we've almost made a map here. I mean, it sucks, but we've almost made one.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah. It is nice to see how quickly this comes together, actually.
Yeah. I mean, they did all the work for us in 1999, and we're just, here editing, but still. Elevation generation. Define GN relev height 05.
So once again, it's pulling the elevation from another file, and that's good for them, for not having to have it in every one of their scripts and being able to reduce the hills on all the scripts at once. But it's not so good for us.
Yeah.
I
Okay, so
wonder,
what do you usually do then if you're going to define this stuff?
I'd have it in my own script. So what I could do, I wonder, how are we going to do this?
So if I went to like the generating elevation file,
you could do that.
I can see something. I don't know what I'm looking at here, but I can see something.
You can see a lot of ifs and elses, but you could just grab one of these things.
Like one of these?
Yeah, to just grab one of these intensities.
Okay. Probably like that. And then we
Let's see.
Create elevation 4. I'm
just
assuming that we would want to delete this pink stuff, right?
Yeah, delete everything. Just leave the create elevation 4.
Okay. And we want to delete that as well. Okay, so then we do a squiggly thing, and and we have
open and close a squiggly thing, and then we can put in some attributes for this as well.
Okay. So this is the elevation. These are the hills that go under our terrain.
Yeah.
And do we have like the same type of, like under our create objects, do we have like number of objects for the number of hills that we have?
So we have number of clumps, and we can also do number of tiles.
Okay, so we go back to number of clumps, spacing to other terrain types, land percentage type of thing. Number of clumps.
We need number of clumps, we need a base terrain, and we need a number of tiles.
All right. And number of clumps, maybe we want 6. We're going to hit enter here just so it becomes more visible. 6 clumps. Base terrain, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so base terrain would be in reference to the type of terrain that these form under?
Yeah. And here, once again, we have a bit of an issue with the official scripts in that they're not written in the correct order. Basically, elevation is created before a lot of the terrain stuff, even though the scripts are written in the wrong order. So these hills are made before we place our forests, before we put our TCs and so on.
Yeah.
So saying base terrain desert is the right thing to do there, yeah.
Oh, so you want to go for the back layer of our painting.
Yeah, if you did base terrain forest, that wouldn't work because the forest doesn't exist yet.
Okay. Okay. So this is prioritized before. That's good to know. That's really good to know. Okay. And then number of clumps, and then do we need something like
Then we want something number of tiles, which I don't think we've used yet. So you'll have to type that.
number of tiles? And this is going to be the total number of tiles on the map?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we can make, I don't know, it's a 120 by
A couple
120.
thousand.
1,000 tiles of hills?
Yeah.
Okay. And then can we do like minimum distance from player?
No, we can't.
Okay.
Because that is hard coded
Oh, the hills are hard coded as a minimum
to stay away from
distance.
players.
Ah, so the TCs have like a radius that you can't
Yeah.
get the hills closer to.
If
That
you
makes
want for
sense.
fun, just instead of doing 1,000, you could do like 100,000, and then you'll see exactly what that does.
What, for the number of tiles?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it all goes up to that elevation, so it's like a giant plateau, and then the players are in their little
Yeah.
areas. Okay, so it's
Yes.
just consistent
Crater
then.
coastal.
Interesting. All right, this map looks dope. Actually, I like the way the mini map looks. It's cool. All right, so we're going to maybe bump that back down to 1,000. And then generate the map once again, and we can see more varied hills here. And that's only one elevation terrain, so I assume that you can just do the same thing for 1 to 7, 1 being the base and then 7 being the max, right?
Yeah, seven is the highest
Yeah.
that you can do and create elevation here.
That's when the birds look like they're going to hit you in the head. Okay, so is there any other values we can do for these elevations?
There generally for all the things we've gone through, there are more values.
Okay.
Question is there anything interesting that we can do for elevation?
Is there
Let me
like a
just,
favorite that you have, or
I'm going to check my own documentation and see. So we could scale it, but we could scale it to the map size.
mm-hmm.
If we're just going to make a 1v1, we don't really have to worry about that, but it's something I would usually do. There's what we could do that's fun. We could do spacing. You can type in spacing and then put in a number after that.
Spacing? Okay. And then
Yeah.
this is the space in between the hills?
Oh, you'll see what it does. Put in 2 for that value.
Yep. And interesting. What
So
am I
it's
looking
not
at?
the spacing between hills. It's sort of each level of elevation now has to have a spacing before it gets to the next one.
Ah, so it's like tiered elevation then,
Yeah.
like this one right here. Okay, it's lumpy. That's what
It's
we're going to
lumpy.
call it. Lumpy. There we go.
Lumpy.
Okay, so
And actually, I
that's a
was
way.
looking. Yeah.
That's like
yeah.
an interesting way to not define all the different elevation types and to like get a mix of them, right? So if you were to put like 7 up here and then spacing as 4, you would get multiple elevation types making their way up towards those.
You would.
Elevation
Yeah,
7
you would.
hills. Okay,
You would.
I like that.
And there's actually one more thing that is important, probably for elevation. It's something called enable balanced elevation.
enable balanced elevation.
And that does what it says. It fixes a bug where elevation used to favor being in the bottom of the map.
Okay. yeah. Well, it still is favoring being in the bottom of the map because there's no hills.
It still does that. It's not perfect.
Okay.
To this day.
So it kind of fixes the bug. I see.
Kind of fixes it. Yeah.
I see. All right. Okay, so we figured that out. I'm assuming there's a lot more you can do with elevation, and this is a basic tutorial, so we'll move down. Cliff generation. And we've already Man, we've already got a good feel. I feel like at least I have anyway. And I'm sure a lot of the viewers are even better than me for how these things work. So this seems pretty straightforward right here. Minimum numbers of
Yeah.
cliffs, maximum numbers, maximum length, minimum length, cliff curliness. Hell yeah, brother. So if we made that like 100, does that go up to 100 there?
Yeah, it's
100, and then
percentage.
we go for 100 on the max, and then we save that. Are we gonna have like a super curly? Yeah, real curly cliff here. Super curler, right there.
Yeah.
Yep, it's my kind of cliff. It's a super curler. Norik wouldn't like cliffs like this, guys. All right. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. It seems like anyway. Is there anything else cool you can do with cliffs?
You really can't do that much with cliffs.
No.
That's about as much as you can do with cliffs.
Such. Okay, so we move past this, and they put 5,000 stars just to make sure that we know there's a difference there. And we're going on to Icy Shore, and this says const. Const what?
So we haven't seen a const before. What this is doing is it's that, well, their terrain, not all the terrains have a predefined name. Like something like desert is predefined for us. We just typed desert and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
But the icy beach terrain isn't predefined. So we have to figure out the ID of it, which there are spreadsheets of, or you can check in the, if you've used Advanced Genie Editor, you can look at stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're basically assigning the name Icy Shore to the terrain with the number 37,
So
which then lets you use that terrain.
every terrain has a number value associated to it. Every unit has a number value associated to it. Every tree has a number value, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Icy Shore would be 37 numerical value.
Yeah.
And that's what they're referencing, and that's why Icy Shore isn't highlighted here, I assume. But the 37
Yeah.
is?
Yeah, it's not highlighted because it's not predefined, so I chose not to highlight it.
Okay.
When making the highlighter.
And all of those values, like you said, can be found in the Genie editor, which is a different download in a different place at a different time. And it's probably for people who really want to get deep into map scripting. I think you could probably find a lot of different terrains from like maps that you like too if you go into their code. You could probably
I also
just copy
have
the number.
An Excel or Google Sheets thing.
Is that the one you sent me?
It's linked in it. I can just like plop it into the chat. There we go.
Okay. Perfect.
It basically has all the terrains in it.
Nice. See, he's doing all the hard work for us, guys. Perfect. Okay, so create connect all players land. So that's the Icy Shore, and the const means construct that terrain.
It's basically it's just saying that saying that Icy Shore, we're going to associate the name Icy Shore with that terrain.
With 37. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to see what connections are doing, I think for this lesson, let's go all the way back to the top of our script.
Okay. We're at the top.
And we should have a create player lands in the land generation.
Create player lands. Here we are. This is where we did the desert, and this is where we did the percentages for the lands.
So right now, like the two players, they each have their own land, so to say, but they're merged, and we have one big land mass.
Mm-hmm.
But let's set up some islands instead. So what we're going to do for that is somewhere in these brackets for create player lands.
Yep.
And preferably not within a random, but just somewhere else. You want to type other zone avoidance distance.
Is it good right after the first squiggly bracket?
Yeah, the order doesn't really matter.
Other zone
Other zone
avoidance distance. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in
And
Notepad++
then
and you see the suggested, by the way, guys, you can just hit tab and it'll
yes, very
autofill
useful. This is why Notepad++ is good.
it. For many reasons. All right, so other zone avoidance distance. Is this avoiding the zone 37?
I'll put in a 10
Okay.
and then generate the map.
Okay, save it, generate the map, and I don't see anything remarkably different.
That doesn't look remarkably different. What am I missing here?
I don't know. I'd love to tell you. I don't know.
How about we add in set zone by team.
Set that has not been filled out yet by team. Okay.
What that should do is give us like a team islands thing, but it's probably not going to, and then we have to figure out why.
Set zone by team, and what value would I put there?
No value.
No value. Okay, so
if we're setting something, it's usually just an on-off thing.
And of course, it didn't work. We still got the clump here. Still
right,
got our nice little clump.
Why do we not have? I wonder. Yeah. This is once again we'd have to be debugging stuff. This should give us a team islands, but it's probably somewhere later on we're creating more grass again or something. Let's scroll down to the before we do terrain generation.
Yep.
And just put in like an open comment there to get rid of all that stuff.
At the very bottom.
At the top of the terrain. So we're basically just creating lands. Oh yeah, I can somewhere there, yeah.
This doesn't work here, right? We would want to put that under create terrain here.
Yeah, do what you just did. That should do the trick. The highlighting isn't perfect for comments in Notepad, unfortunately.
Okay. Help.
What have we got now? Well, we still haven't avoided. We still all right. It is doing what I expected, except we still haven't fixed our islands issue.
Yep.
Right. I mean, what we're doing, what we've gotten, we're ignoring everything after that point. We can remove that again.
So what we're trying to do is get multiple islands here, and instead we something is overriding what we just put on there. Other zone avoidance distance 10. Something is getting in the way.
All right, scroll back. Let's take another look. So we have other zone avoidance distance 10. We have set zone by team. We have terrain type. If we scroll down some more, what else do you have sitting around there?
Base size 12.
That's fine.
Percent chance for borders.
We have all our borders. Yeah, we don't really care about those.
Border fuzziness.
If we scroll down some more, it says zone 1.
Zone 1. So we need two zones.
We already had some zones going on there, so we need to delete that thing that says zone 1.
Okay.
Just delete the whole thing.
Yeah.
That says zone 1.
And now we have
And we already had an avoidance distance there too. Turns out. And there we go.
All right.
We have our team coastal.
It's funny how like the ice spawned here.
Exactly.
Really
so now we can go back to our connections because it's in fact not just random.
That's what you were. I see your thought process. I see.
This is what a connection is for. Yes.
So the connection goes between the zones. The zones are defined earlier, and we've defined 2 zones there, and then the connections are icy shore. Aha! I was wondering what that referenced.
Yeah. So it says create connect all players land. So basically all the players should be connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of stuff in here, but we're replacing water with ice,
Okay.
basically.
Yep. Replace
And
terrain with ice, medium water, deep water, ice,
you
DLC
have to do
water
it
for
if you have
ice.
multiple types of water, you have to replace all of them.
Yeah, otherwise the connection might not form, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this end if
And then
what
Melsina is the Czech word for shallow. So that's basically creating shallows on water if it's not like an icy, if it's not a winter theme.
okay. And then what are these values? I understand this. You're replacing medium water with ice. You're replacing deep water with ice. DLC water 4 with ice. All the different types of water that we have. What are the values here? Terrain cost.
So this connection stuff it's doing some sort of algorithm to calculate like the cheapest path. You can imagine it being like the cheapest path between the two players' town centers.
Mm-hmm.
And by default, that would just be a straight line. But with the cost, you can say, all right, water is expensive to go through. Ideally, it should only cross the shortest place of
Ah,
water.
okay. So are these percentages or are these tiles? Like deep water, you can cross 15 tiles.
It's a cost. It's a generic value that can be up to like 2 to the power of 32, theoretically.
Okay.
It
So it's
yeah, so
less
yeah,
likely to cross the deep water than it is to cross the shallow water.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's less likely to cross a forest than it is to cross just a random ground terrain.
Now, why do we have icy shore here then? So you can add ice on top of ice?
Because, well, you'll notice Icy Shore isn't highlighted, it's not predefined.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other things aren't highlighted either, but they're all in this seasons file.
Mm-hmm.
Like the layer A, that's different for each season, but Icy Shore is just hasn't been defined anywhere yet, so we need to say what it is.
Yep.
That's why we do it here.
Okay. All right, so this is the type of stuff that I would simply, if I really wanted to do a deep dive on it, I would change all these values one by one and then generate and see what's going on. And if
It
it's
wouldn't
working.
be that interesting because we're
Yeah,
only replacing that tiny bit of water
exactly.
right now.
Exactly. If you really wanted to be a perfectionist and make your map absolutely stunning and perfect, this is the stuff that you do for like 4 hours. Just trying to make sure there's no mistakes.
What it can do on other maps, like on Black Forest, it can make the paths between the players, the roads and stuff like that. If you want a road connecting players, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So a lot more important in 1v1s if you have a couple islands like this or different zones, but probably
Yeah.
more important in team games.
Actually, if you want to do an easy thing, you can go all the way to the bottom of this connection thingy where the bracket's closing, and we can put in something in there.
Yep.
And we can put in, what's it called? I have it written down. I check my own manual here for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Should be default terrain replacement.
Yep.
And if you type that, and then you can just put in some terrain that you want, maybe road.
Let's see. Oh, it needs to be. Oh my god, dude. Is there a road broken? I think that's the thing, right? No.
Do you have a space?
Ah, it doesn't work. Road 3.
There is no road 3.
Well, we're just gonna go road. Okay. So we go road and then
There is a road 2, actually. That's the broken road.
yeah, brother. Probably be road _2, right?
Nah. I think
But how does it differentiate between the value and the terrain thing? We don't know. Anyway, what's the value after this? The value here would be the weighted system again?
can you scroll down so we can see what we've done?
Oh crap, sorry. Sorry.
But basically you don't need a value. You just need to make sure the brackets are closed after all of this stuff. Probably. I don't know what you've done.
Default terrain replacement road 2.
Yeah. It will just use road for the entire connection.
Okay.
Is what this will do.
Okay. So if we went to generate map, then we'd have a road all the way from this TC all the way to the other. So screw scouting and screw the Vietnamese in particular, because you know exactly where your opponent's TC is going to be. Follow the yellow brick road.
All right, and what you can do is if you get rid of the space between road and 2, then there's a terrain called road 2, and that's the broken road.
Road 2. Yeah. So then if we generate, it would be this broken road. Awesome. And that just replaces all of this, so you're always going to have that connection, right? So if we went for like
you could put whatever you want there. Deep water, yeah.
Nice. Nice. Someone left the tap on, bro. Someone left the tap on in the TC, and now we're all getting punished for it. Now we're all getting punished for it. You can't dock this either, guys. You can't dock deep water, so that would be interesting. Demo battle for the first demos on the side, for sure. That'd be funny. We could just call this canal. Not canals, just canal. All right, cool. So that just replaces all of that. I think we're going to get rid of that for now because I don't like the idea of having a path right to your opponent's base. I also need to close this off, I think. Yeah.
That was just... It's useful for debugging, and it's useful to show off what the connection's doing.
No. And that's how I assume you learn, right? You just keep changing values and figure out something that's cool, and then generate the map like 5 million times and make sure nothing is super bugged.
More or less.
Yeah. All right, so we're at the bottom of our little script here. Is there anything else in here that this script in particular doesn't cover, or you think that we need to know? I mean, it's been super helpful for me to go through this. 100%.
I mean, I think we've done a lot of the basics. Now, we deleted all the resources, for example. Like we're not giving any sheep and stuff like that, but
true.
It's not that complicated. We could look into that if we wanted, or we could mess around with something else.
We could probably do sheep. That's probably, and there's no boars here either, right? No boars, no deers, no berries, nothing. Just a blank slate. All right, so that's regicide. We're on the land and water resources file now. So that's regicide, and this is forage bushes, golds, and you can see them all set by medium gold, so that would probably be the secondary, and this would be the primary, and then these would be the neutrals, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You basically you could copy just everything else in that file and put it in as well. If you wanted to make an actually playable map, that would be the easy way to do that.
Baba. What is Baba?
Well, what sound do sheep make?
Well, it's a turkey, so.
Yes.
That's a gobble gobble right there, my friend. That's a gobble gobble. All right, so we take this stuff from this file. We go in after our relic generation, and we probably want to add a note for ourselves, like you said right here. Is the / this, and we do resource generation, and we do that, and this, and then we paste all of this stuff here, and now we have all of our set resources. Now this is the same as the standard, I guess.
And now you're going to generate it, and we'll talk about why you followed for a classic blunder in a moment, but go ahead and generate it.
See, he lets me fall into these traps, guys, and he's no help at all. And there's not even a connection anymore. Oh my god, what a map we've come.
So where you wrote resource generation, the problem is that generation and the little close comment thing, you need to have a space between them. And unfortunately, the Notepad thing doesn't highlight that there's something wrong with the comment. But now it'll work.
There's our gold. There's our gold. There's our stone. Okay. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. All right. So I didn't put a space, guys, and remember that's a classic blunder. Apparently, now we
It is.
We have our foraging, we have our golds, our stones, and if you want to make this map, you know, a little bit different than maybe a standard, we could go for. I guess the foraging, the number of objects refers to the singular berry bushes, not the clumps, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we would do forage, and maybe we could go for like 24. And then group placement radius would be the total number of tiles that group needs to fit in.
Yeah. But so the 24 tiles don't form a line that's 24 long. It would be in a, I think, 7x7 space.
Okay.
Or maybe a 3x3 space, in which case you need to make the radius a bit bigger.
Yeah, so we would do like, let's do like 8. Should work, right? Set tight grouping. So this, I assume, means that all of the berries are tied together?
Yeah, you could change it to set loose grouping, and then they wouldn't be.
So loose grouping, and then if we even expand this to like 15 or 16, and then we look at our berries once they're generated, and this is what we get: a horrendously ugly berry generation. Berries all over the place.
Perfect.
Doctors hate him. He's got berries growing everywhere. So that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so we set that back to 3, and we set this back to 6 because not usually a fan of tons of berries. And we set tight grouping like we saw before. Set Gaia object only. So this means that only Gaia can own the berries?
Yes.
King of the forest? All right. Can anyone else own the berries?
No.
Okay.
But there are other objects like sheep that you could own or Gaia could own.
So that's how they did like the new Arabia generations where you always start with one sheep owned?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of those sheep doesn't have set Gaia object only.
Okay. Set place for every player. Okay. Self-explanatory. Minimum distance to player and maximum distance to player. All right. So this is probably really important for balancing issues. Or for balancing stuff. So it's anywhere from 10 tiles from your TC to 12 tiles from your TC.
Yeah. There are a bunch more things that you can do for objects.
Mm-hmm.
They've added a lot in DE to help with balancing things. For example, you can do something that's like, I think it's set circular placement was added in the most recent update, which makes this 10 to 12 not a square around your TC, but a circle.
Placement. Okay, so so I can see it already. You can kind of see the circle right there. I don't know. Yeah.
If you really want to see it, then you just do, 500 berries instead of 6 or something, but we already did that. We don't need to do that now.
Oh, we do.
We do? Actually, then 700.
I didn't increase the radius.
Yeah. You
So
need to do that as well.
There we go.
That's not really what we want, though. I think what you need to do is add something, number of groups. Add number of groups.
Number of groups. Perfect.
Yeah, number of groups. And then put the group placement radius down again.
All right, so we put that down to like 6 that we had before. Set tight grouping, number of groups. We put like 30.
999 or something.
999. Right. Ah. Right. Okay. So this is an interesting map. The scout went out for a nice little walk. He got stuck in the juniper bushes, and he's never been seen since. Also, villagers a little bit stuck here. They're gonna need to figure their way out of there. But we've got a lot of berries, and we need to tone that down because berries are ugly.
All right.
We can get rid of set number of groups, set circular placement. We can get rid of that. We can go for number of objects being 6, radius being 3, which is the standard.
Yeah.
Save that once again. Okay. Min distance to group placement. Min distance to group placement. Well, we only have one group, right?
So that one's actually an interesting one. It does do what you expect. Like if you had 2 groups, they would stay 6 tiles apart. But it also keeps everything else created afterwards at least 6 tiles away.
Okay.
So the gold can't be touching the berries.
So
type of thing.
Okay, so that applies to all groups, not just berry groups.
Above with the relics, we did a temporary min distance to group placement. That one only applies to what you're creating right then, just to the relics.
Okay.
But here it would apply to everything going
So
forward.
if I wanted it to apply to the berries, I would just do temporary temp min to group distance.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would override the other stuff. Okay. That's cool. All right, so gold has the same, I assume it's got all the same stuff as the berries. We've already been through all of that. Same with stone. Is there anything different for those?
Just looking, it does say max distance to other zones. That's just something to keep it away from the water, basically.
Okay.
It makes it stay 7 tiles away from the water.
All of these object things applies to each player in the game, right?
Well, all of them that say set place for every player apply for each player.
Oh, so we need the set place for every player to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you do set place for every zone?
No.
No.
But you can delete set place for every player, and then it will just place that somewhere on the map.
So it will only place 4.
It will place
4 stone piles.
4 object, 4 one group of 4 stones somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we keep copying things out from that resources file, we should get to some things that aren't placed for each player.
Mm-hmm. So things that aren't placed for each player might be like wolves or jaguars. Oh no.
We'll see.
Set place for every player. Okay, that's set place for every player.
Yeah, each player gets their own wolf. Yay.
Hey, there we go. Palm trees.
Yeah, so we just got to a section that was called resources by map, and a lot of this stuff, well, some of it is placed for every player, some of it isn't.
Okay.
The palm trees are the straggler trees right there.
Yeah. And then there's different if values. So if tiny map, number of groups 1, if small map, number of groups 1 as well, number of groups 2 for medium, number of groups 3 for large map. So that all makes sense. Set type grouping, we've been through that before. Minimum and maximum distance to players. Okay. And then we go down here, and these are the straggler trees, apparently, right? We don't have straggler trees on our map right now. And we kind of want those. Why is there an if value, though? If desert... Oh, this is just for the terrain issues.
So,
okay, so
somewhere on your map, you could write at the top of your map, define desert map. And then desert map would be true, and the if statement would be true.
Okay.
Or you could write, percent chance, 25% chance of defining a desert map, 30% chance of defining an alpine map.
So if we wanted to add straggler trees, we would just avoid this if statement, right?
Yeah.
We would just copy this and paste it in. So create object palm tree. We can just go palm tree for all of them. And number of objects 2. Maybe we want to give them 3 straggler trees. Minimum distance to players 4, maximum distance to players 5. Set guy objects, set place for every player. Okay. And then we save that and we generate. And we got some beautiful straggler trees there. Fantastic. All right, so that makes sense. Bamboos, pine trees. So these are all variances based on what type of map it is, right? But I don't care about that. That's probably why map creators use those like tree F and stuff like that. It doesn't look out of place if it's a different terrain. They don't want to go through all this. All right, so this is the if for the birds. If tropical map macaw, if whatever, create a hawk. Tropical map, create a jaguar. Interesting. So these are probably the neutral jaguars.
Yeah, because they don't say set place for every player.
Okay. So we would have 3 of those then. 75% you have 1 for each of these groups, and 25% to have 2 for each of these groups.
Yeah. So you either have 3 groups
6.
of 1 or 3 groups of 2.
Okay. Well, I'm evil, so I'd probably want 3 groups of 2. Create object wolf. Okay, and now we're at the end of land and water resources. This is way simpler. They've got it listed out nice. There's definitely a bunch of tricks that you would probably fall for, like not ending your bracket or whatever, but seems like it'd be pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Like this at a basic level is how to make a map, and with a little bit of experimenting, you could make a map like they made them, like an old AOC map. That's basically as much as you need to know for that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a lot of the actual like layout of the map is the stuff that we did at the very beginning, setting up these player lands. Well, here we're just putting things on the map at this point.
Yeah. All right, so I put some macaws. I see the macaws, and this is a fantastic generation we've got here. Little leg all the way around the side.
Yeah, like the old islands maps.
All right, is there anything else that we need to go over here? I feel like I've had you long enough. We've been here for 2 hours. I've learned a ton. But I don't want to take up all your time, dude. Is there anything
if you
else
wanted to, I'd be willing to stay around longer, but I think we have covered a lot of basics.
Yeah.
I can plug a few things and offer some more suggestions for where people can look further if they want to.
Where should they look? Where should we go?
So we of course we've been linking this guide a lot. That links to other things. Right at the top there, you'll find an invite to the RMS Discord. It's in the introduction. If you want to learn more about map scripting, you could join that Discord. There are always people there who are happy to help answer any questions. There are links to a bunch of other things. You'll find links to a guy called the Mad Catter who's made a bunch of YouTube videos on map scripting. Those could be interesting as well. Other than that, it's really not that hard. It's easy to get into, and if you really get into it, you can do a lot of advanced things too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And if I end up uploading this to YouTube, guys, all the links are going to be down below in the description. So if you're watching this, check down below. Zetnus, thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. And like, you've been super, super chill. I was nervous, right? I'm always nervous bringing someone new on, but you've been super chill and really understanding that I'm a Papaga. So thank you. Thank you for helping us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun to join you here.
And good luck on the RMS2 Cup. I know you made a few maps for it. Good luck. I hope
I can advertise that too before we
Perfect. Go.
Go. There's a map scripting contest. You can earn $400 if your map wins.
$400? That's where you're
Yes.
supposed to expand on it and get all hyped and stuff.
Actually, the prize pool is $4,000, and they're going to be 10 winning maps, and they're all going to be featured in this tournament that has like a prize pool of 20,000.
Yep,
Pretty big
it's a
deal.
pro players tournament. So if you make a good enough map, you can submit. And I think the submission
It's
it's
another week or until the
June 19th.
19th.
Oh
Yeah.
god. You have 11 days from when I stream this. You got 11 days to get good. 11 days to get good. There's a bunch of rules and stuff on the RMS Cup 2 Discord, and there's a handbook, I believe, that outlines what they're looking for, so you might want to get involved with that. Like I said, dude, I really like your maps. Big fan of them, and I hope to play some more in the future. Thanks for showing me everything. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Have yourself a good day, eh?
You too.